From the outside, professional sports look like fame, money, and glory. Packed stadiums, massive contracts, millions of fans. But behind the spotlight, there's a side most people never see. The pressure, the injuries, the mental strain, the short careers that can end in a single moment. In this video, we're diving into the dark side of professional sports that nobody talks about. The realities athletes face once the cameras turn off. The mental health crisis athletes don't talk about. When you watch your favorite athlete perform at the highest level, it is easy to assume they have everything figured out. But the truth is, professional athletes suffer from anxiety, depression, burnout, and serious psychological disorders at alarming rates. The pressure to perform consistently, to maintain a public image, and to deal with millions of eyes watching your every move takes a devastating toll on the mind. For decades, the sports world treated mental health as a weakness, telling players to toughen up and push through. Coaches, managers, and even teammates would dismiss emotional struggles as signs of being mentally soft. This culture of silence forced countless athletes to suffer alone, often turning to alcohol, drugs, or other destructive behaviors just to cope with the immense pressure they were under. What makes things worse is that many athletes do not even recognize what they are experiencing as a mental health issue, because the sports world has never normalized those conversations. By the time someone finally speaks up, they've often already been through years of quiet suffering. The recent wave of athletes coming forward publicly about their mental health battles has started to shift the conversation, but inside the locker room and front offices, the stigma is still very much alive. The hidden truth about player injuries. Injuries in sports are nothing new, but what gets hidden behind closed doors absolutely is. Teams and athletes often downplay the severity of injuries to the public and even to the players themselves. Coaches and medical staff employed by the team face a serious conflict of interest because they are paid by the organization, not by the athlete. That means their loyalty often lies with getting a player back on the field quickly rather than ensuring that player is fully healed. Players are routinely pressured, sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, to play through pain that would send a normal person to the hospital. Many athletes are given powerful pain medications and injections before games just so they can compete, with little to no explanation of the long-term damage this could cause. By the time a player's career ends, they are often dealing with chronic pain, permanent joint damage, and in the case of contact sports like football and hockey, serious neurological conditions that affect them for the rest of their lives. The NFL's handling of concussion data and the long-term effects of repeated head trauma is perhaps the most notorious example of how sports organizations can ignore medical evidence when profits and wins are at stake. Players are treated like replaceable assets, and their long-term physical health is seen as a secondary concern to team performance. Financial exploitation of young athletes. The dream of becoming a professional athlete starts young, and unfortunately, so does the exploitation. Teenagers with elite talent are scouted, signed, and financially managed in ways that set many of them up for long-term financial disaster. Young athletes from lower-income backgrounds are especially vulnerable because they suddenly have access to large sums of money they have never seen before, surrounded by agents, advisors, and family members who may not always have their best interests at heart. Predatory agents take enormous cuts. Bad investment advice leads to fortunes disappearing within a few years of retirement. Studies have shown that a shockingly high percentage of professional athletes, in both American football and basketball, face serious financial difficulty within just a few years of leaving their sport. Many end up broke despite earning millions during their playing days. The sports industry largely avoids responsibility for this crisis. Teams and leagues profit enormously from athlete labor, but rarely provide serious financial education or long-term support structures. The dark reality of doping and performance pressure. Doping in sports is not a new story, but the depths to which performance-enhancing drug culture is embedded in professional sports is rarely discussed openly. The public hears about high-profile cases, a cyclist stripped of medals, a sprinter banned from competition, but these cases represent only what gets caught. The pressure to perform at superhuman levels, to recover faster than the human body naturally allows, and to compete against others who are almost certainly using performance-enhancing substances creates a culture where doping feels not just tempting but almost necessary. In some sports, athletes describe feeling forced to choose between using banned substances and simply not being competitive at the professional level. The testing systems that exist are often outsmarted by teams with the money to hire chemists who design substances that stay ahead of detection methods. Racism and inequality behind the scenes. Professional sports have long been celebrated as a space where talent is the only thing that matters, where someone from any background can rise to the top based on skill alone. But the reality behind the scenes tells a very different story. While black athletes make up a significant majority of players in sports like the NFL and NBA, the ownership, coaching, and front office leadership of those same leagues remains overwhelmingly white. The pipeline for black athletes into executive and coaching roles is remarkably thin compared to the opportunities available to white counterparts with similar or even lesser qualifications. Athletes from minority backgrounds also report facing different standards when it comes to how they are treated by the media, how their behavior is perceived by management, and how quickly they are judged or let go when performance dips. The cultural double standard is real and widely acknowledged by players themselves, though often only in private. The toll on personal relationships and family life. The sacrifices athletes make to reach the professional level are rarely limited to physical training. The personal cost, odd relationships, family bonds, and personal identity is enormous and largely invisible to fans. Professional athletes spend months away from home during seasons, travel constantly, and live in a world that is utterly removed from normal daily life. Marriages break down at high rates among professional athletes. Children grow up barely knowing a parent who is consumed by the demands of the sport. Many athletes admit by the time they retire, they have lost not just their career, but also their closest personal relationships and their sense of who they are outside of the game. The identity crisis that follows retirement is one of the least discussed and most serious challenges athletes face. They have spent their entire lives being defined by their sport, and when that is suddenly gone, many do not know who they are anymore. The transition out of professional sports has been linked to serious depression, substance abuse, and in tragic cases, suicide. The sports world builds athletes up as larger-than-life figures while they are performing, but offers remarkably little preparation or support for the very human struggle of figuring out what comes next. Greatness comes with a price, and sometimes that price is invisible to the public. If this gave you a deeper perspective, hit like and subscribe for more honest insights into the world of sports and performance. And watch the next video to explore what really happens after athletes retire.